I just hit the wrong button. How's it going, everybody? JT here on behalf of the EV Mavericks Discord, the R Ethereum daily general discussion on the old Reddit. And today I've got Dish, Jack Dishman, jackdishman.com is hanging with us on the podcast, along with my good friend Ben Broad. You can see him up there, B Broad, and our technical interviewer, Logri the Bard. Jack, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited that you came. As you can see, the permanent smile on Ben Broad's face that you're here. He's our Farcaster guru, and Ben has been a big fan of Farcaster from the beginning. I have a Farcaster handle. I'm learning more and more about it every day. Every episode. In fact, we had GM Farcaster on last week. And so it's just a natural progression here that we bring you on and talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing in the Farcaster world. Before we do that, I don't really worry much about when did you first learn about Bitcoin. I'm more interested in what was your guiding light coming out of high school into college? What were the things you were doing early on before all of this, and then progress forward through why Farcaster?
Yeah, that's actually a great kind of intro. So let's see. Yeah, I was just like by education, a computer science guy, always wanted to kind of build things of my own. I feel like there was like two paths, right? One of them was like going to a Fortune 500 or like a larger company, kind of being like a cog in the machine per se, right?
Right.
People can just they can invest, or you can take kind of the road less traveled and kind of do the startup land, right? It's a lot more, it's a lot more grinding, but for me, it's like more rewarding. I think like for that, in that sense, where it's like you can do more, and I feel like I've learned a lot more kind of taking that path. So I've been doing like startups basically like kind of my whole career. A lot of them failed, like a lot. So not even just like this. I haven't fully like started a startup, like meaning to. The ones that I did try like just failed. So the one that I like built as a side project, that one kind of succeeded. But I think like I've always been into kind of like social. Like I was like early on like building on like the Twitter APIs, the Spotify APIs, and then they like took it away. And they rate limited, and that sucked. Like I was just trying to build cool stuff, just really like experimenting. But it wasn't until what was it? It was like 2020, when I was like banned from Facebook, like accidentally. It was like a glitch or whatever.
And we were banned from going out.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like this whole thing, I was like, well, this sucks. Like I can't log into my Spotify. There's got to be a better way to do it. And so I was like, I got really interested into kind of like, the blockchain aspect. This is also like when GameStop, Nokia, all of those were like trading like meme coins. And I was like, well, hold on. How can Robinhood just like halt my sell right now? This is messed up. So that's when I really like, fell down the hole. And, I started like doing like a decentralized social media. That was actually a competitor to Farcaster. I wouldn't say a competitor because it was called Blockchain. It was like
nice.
built on like Near protocol. It was like, if you think of like a Substack mixed with Twitter, it was like all peer-to-peer too, which was really cool. But yeah, basically, that was short-lived, but that was like my first kind of like full start to finish startup. I wasn't the founder, but I was just like an engineer. But it was cool. Like that was kind of how I got into it. Of course, NFTs were really cool. From the artist perspective, right? I feel like that was like a really fun thing. Just creating JPEGs, buying it, seeing the number go up. I was like, wow, this is crazy. A lot of those numbers did come down, but it was fun at the time.
Yes, it was.
So yeah, that was kind of the early stages of like 21. And then, yeah, I feel like a couple years went by and it was just like, what are we doing? I think like people kind of maybe transitioned out of crypto for a while. I stayed into it, but it was more of it was like the bear market hit, right, with NFTs, and like no one really was like building stuff, or nothing was sticking on, right? Like you
Right.
could build really cool shit, but like no one was using it. So like there was no traction. Another startup that I was working on was doing like certificates of authenticity for like earrings, like jewelry, engagement rings, things like that.
Oh.
You know, yeah, issuing an NFT and then we were trying to go like the whole supply chain route, but that was just way too big of a hill to climb as like a small team. So we pivoted to like AI, and then we were building like home repair service like scheduling, like with a chatbot, which that was like kind of like the foundation of like the Clanker chatbot.
Yeah, I was going to
Um,
ask when you got into
yeah.
the agentic stuff.
Yep. That was kind of the intro there, and it was cool. Like that, like I built like the original prototype of this bot, and then I was like, I wanted to get back into crypto, so I went to another company. Didn't work out. I just like it wasn't. I felt like it wasn't going anywhere. And then yeah, basically I quit my job, and I was like really just trying to make stuff work. But it wasn't until like I was like dead out of money, like, wasn't gonna make rent the next month. And I was like applying to jobs at base, and I was like, this is it. Like I gotta go corporate, there goes my dreams of doing any startup stuff. But like, and then it hit, like, and now the rest is history. So
So when did you start building on Farcaster?
I was building on it super early, like I would say like early 24. This was like pre-base, right? Like before the base
Yeah,
blockchain.
before base
Early,
mainnet went live, or right
yeah,
around then.
before base mainnet. And it was cool. Like I was doing like an on-chain boat registry. I was doing like frames V1, which was like quiz frames, which I thought
Hmm.
were really cool, and like putting like, your quiz results on chain. Um, like those were the things that like it was like a lot of like info chain stuff, but which I really like. I'm a big fan of that. But like at the end of the day, like no one really like the true use case of crypto right now is like, speculation, and so that's like it didn't take me until, like building a launch pad to like figure out that that's what works.
Hmm.
And that was really like, by accident. Like my old co-founder was like a local Boston guy. We met up, and like we just built it in like a couple of days, and it just took off, right? Like we just put it out there on Farcaster.
Hmm.
Token went bananas. The like Lum happened, banker hit, and at that point, like I was locked in. Like as the dev, I felt like it was my responsibility,
Yeah.
because like I couldn't just let these tokens just hang. These people need support. People still want to do it. So at that point, like, it would like I was like I had to. I was like, yeah, so that's kind of like the precursor to kind of where we're at now.
So
Right. I mean,
go
yeah,
ahead,
go ahead.
Ben. No, Ben, go
Well,
ahead.
I was going to say a lot changed in that period of time, and then a lot has changed since then. But so I'm terminally online. I'm on Farcaster a lot, and I think a lot of the EV Mavericks who are in our meme coin trading channel might remember that night fondly because I saw the launch of Clanker and I shared it with that channel. So I think a lot of people have fond memories of that night and everything that's happened since. But yeah,
Nice. I wasn't even online. I didn't know that like we were live, or like, Proxy was gonna cast. Like it wasn't fully tested. That's the thing. Like I was not ready for it.
yeah,
So that's kind of caught me by surprise. But
totally.
it was I think that's just like something where it's like, even if the product's like not fully ready, like sometimes you just gotta get it out the door.
Yep. I saw you the week prior testing like Pizzeria Regina tokens and other just like Boston jokes, and I was like, "What's this guy doing?" And then a week later, Farcaster exploded. But I would love to hear. I don't know if JT had a specific question, but
Well,
Like
the only
yeah, go ahead.
the only tie-in I wanted to do to wrap up the origin story was I feel like you've had this journey over the last 5 or 6 years where it was like it's in your head, something's going to hit here and I'm going to find some comfortable shoes. Like you it's kind of like you had to go through the breakup with a couple of first loves to finally realize where you belong, you know. And I feel like you found a groove in this, obviously. And your reference to the bear market and how like the tides of people's will to stay in it or leave or what they're working on changes. I've always said you always make your best friends in the bear. And so
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not like a physical person. It could just also be the application that you just want to close the doors and shut the windows and like really just dive in on and get going. So that's a really cool origin story. I'll turn it over to Logri or Ben here to carry forward the next questions here.
Yeah, I was curious if you wanted to talk about, so Clanker's up. It obviously has product market fit. People are big users of it, big fans and supporters of it on Farcaster. And I think you guys were stabilizing it and growing it and doing new versions and adding lots of features. So I was curious if you could talk about two things. One, like you obviously were a builder within Farcaster and you're still a builder within Farcaster, and many other people are now builders within Farcaster. So I know you guys did a lot of work around making Clanker have a lot of features that builders launching their own tokens and projects can leverage. So I wanted to hear about that. And then I also obviously want to hear about where you are today and the path from launching Clanker to being with Neynar. But so two-part question.
Yeah, I think like the big thing for me was like going through like the versions, right? Each incremental like next iteration, we had to kind of like we basically all we were doing was just like listening to what people wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, like the vaulting feature, people were like, oh, like I can't, I can't get like a supply of the token. Like it's a benefit and a drawback, right? Where even if you launch a token, you don't get any of the supply, but like what we did was like we just took that, internally. We're like, all right, well, the next feature, we're gonna do that. Like V0 was just like pretty just thrown together, similar to V1. V2 was at least starting to get there. It wasn't really until in like V3.1 when we went permissionless, when it really clicked. Because like, but like the biggest thing here is just like listening to like what people want and what like the requests, and then just pushing it out. I think like that's like the simplest like way to think about it. And like just because like if you don't like, I think like you can kind of like get away from like the fundamentals there. But I was gonna say like it's kind of related to like Farcaster, right? Where I think like what drew me in is like the ease building on it, where I didn't have to worry about like a Twitter taking away my API access, or whatever, like getting banned from Facebook or things like that, right? I felt like it was like a good foundation to build on. And I think that's like, I think that's like a big thing what people want about Clanker too, right? It's like, you don't have to worry about like the technical complexities of tick math of Uniswap, or like tokenomics. Like sure, you can think about it, or you can just launch a simple token, and if people like it, they'll
With
bid
a
it.
trusted platform, yeah.
Yeah, and like I think like that is like it takes out a big part of like the prepping, and it can kind of like get you to like the meat and gravy of like what you want to build here. And yeah, I think like that's kind of where we're at there. But I think like I think it's an interesting time now where now there's like the three things of Clanker, Farcaster, and Neynar all together. It's the on-chain contracts of issuance. It's the social layer, but it's also the infra layer, which I think it complements each other like very well, right? Where a lot of the builders, like what do they need? They need funding. Clanker Clanker's there to help with the funding.
Right.
Granted, it's not like a perfect solution, right? Like a lot of these fees dilute over time. It's cyclical, I think, is the best way to put it. But you
I
know,
wonder if
think
JT is going to launch a Clanker right now. I'm wondering what he's up to. All right, continue.
Okay,
Good,
well, I
good.
could.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I logged
I-
He
in.
experiments on the episodes. We did like, Kenny from Poid. We like posted a Poid on the episode. Like, so JT is not he was
Like
talking
just
to
for this episode, right? Be like episode 1, I don't know what we got, 31, 32 or something.
Why not? Anyways, please continue.
I was going to say, what do I do? I'm logged in.
Oh,
You
if you're
go
on
to create?
Farcaster.
I'm on
Go ahead.
Clanker.world.
There it is. There it is.
All right.
Um,
I'm going to verify my connection to Twitter here too. So
Could he launch from here or from the timeline?
you could go from the timeline. You could.
Alright.
I feel like it's
go back
fun
to
if you do it from
Farcaster
the
then.
timeline. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we had GM Farcaster on, he was talking with both their bot, Warpy, and the Neynar bot. And so today he gets to talk to a new bot.
There it is. Just gotta tag that bot.
Yep. Write a post, give it a token name and
Throw
optional
an image in there. Yeah.
So like this at Clanker, and then I just say what?
Just give me a token, and then give it a name and a symbol, or ticker.
Throw me a $Doot token.
Hey, there we go.
You get a chance.
Will he understand that? I think he will.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see.
So
We're doing it live. I love it.
how,
There, I dialed the bot.
how different is Clanker's LLM versus like the moving company or whatever it was, the first startup that you were working on, as far as the LLM? Like, how different is that?
It's very different. Like this one's super simple. What did it say?
It says I can deploy that $Doot token for you right now.
You know,
What name would you
had
like?
I had to tame this bot a lot more because it was trigger happy before. So if you do, you gotta tag it again now. You gotta say, hey Clanker, name, Doot, symbol, Doot, or whatever.
Simplify it.
People cause for a while it was
It's
super
asking you
trigger
to fill in
happy.
the other parameters of the ERC20, right? So it's going to be like, okay, what's your token, symbol? Sure. Then what's the token name for like a string for display? It's the difference of like USDC versus Circle USD or something, right? So it's
All right. Is that good? Hey, Clanker, $Doot, or do I need to add more?
I would do maybe the name.
Doot should be named the EV Mavericks Daily Doots or something, right? It's asking for a
And a
string.
full name. So we'll see what happens. I know we only have Dish for a little while though, so I don't want to.
Yeah, sure.
All good.
We've seen the integration of AI at the interface level. Is there an integration of AI backing the token as well when the token is a bot? Do you do hosting of the model or anything?
No, we don't. The bot is super simple. All it is, it's basically just you take the cast input, we pass it into ChatGPT, and it's basically a regular expression response, and it'll just trigger a method or an action with that given parameters. Super simple. I think that's we've kind of trained it to do more of you can do airdrops, you can do vaulting or vested amounts over time. You can do you can get market stats and things like that. But the bot as itself right now is super simple. I would love to give it a Claude bot. I just don't want any more tokens, that was the whole my biggest bane of existence with Clanker. The biggest headache was dealing with the token, honestly. I think it's just because I like to tell people they're double-edged swords, right? They're super powerful, but at the same time they can be a pain in the ass. People are when are you gonna update Dex? You might get some people if this token runs.
Yeah,
they'll be
comments of JT saying, "Let's run this thing. Go update the Dex screener page." You're experimenting. You should experiment. But it's launched and there's volume.
There is?
Ignorance is 9/10 of the law. This is not trading advice, and this was not a token distribution.
NFA.
Let's go.
I am not located in Kansas.
if you pull up Clanker World now,
Okay.
JT,
Got it.
Oh,
I'm on
and
Clanker
then
World.
go to newest, or like new Clankers, I think is the next section down. Or,
Okay. Clank with us, launch now. Oh,
just
there
up
it
his
is.
headers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you should see the Doot token there.
Interesting.
I some of this here.
Well, let's go. New Clankers.
You might need to-
Multiverse.
Oh, there's a lot of molts. Do we see the Doot?
It's not like we pull this from Gecko Terminal, so
So
usually
it might not be updated yet.
What if I
it probably won't be.
search?
It's not gonna be in the top. Yeah, if you do Doot,
Yeah, search Doot.
that might be. Is that a banker? Oh, it looks like
No.
someone's trying to deploy a.
Oh, it's Doot. DOOT. Here's the link in the. Where's the best chat?
There's Doots
Anywho.
podcast chat right here
Yeah,
on the
we'll send it.
Discord.
You got it.
Lovely.
And then we can see how much you've earned here.
Accumulated, yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm not earning nothing.
You can share it with the masses. Share it with the people.
Oh, weird. We'll just
Send
use
some
it to
to your
support
friend
the
Adrian
show.
from GM Farcaster.
I mean,
Anyways.
this is probably a best example of, in terms of success story, is using AI as an interface. So you can do natural language as opposed to having to go and fill out a form and submit a transaction, have a wallet, etc. Like you might have a wallet linked to your Farcaster account, and so you have control through that kind of. But it isn't as though I don't think at any point it made you, JT, the contract admin with special permissions on the little token that it made, right?
Got it.
And
What we do is we basically just pass, like, we sponsor these transactions. Like, we'll send it on behalf of you. But what we do is we pull your Farcaster verified address, like, on your account into the admin, like, info and the reward recipient. So, like, if you go to that, like, what I can, like, claim the fees for you right now, and you'll be able to see, like, in your warplet, like, that the amount of, like, I'll claim like the fees here. You'll be able, like, I think you got like 0.1 ETH or so. I can claim the Doot for you too. But yeah, so like that's kind of the flow.
Interesting.
If you hit the admin on the top right,
Yep.
then you can see the. Oh, maybe not.
well, I think
Oh yeah.
Your check fees.
I did just claim them for you.
Oh, okay. You claim them for him. Okay.
So
So
if
yeah,
I
they'd
say-
be in your Farcaster wallet.
so. For a Farcaster integration specifically focused on models and tokenization AI, it's the natural next step forward seems to be to have people with their personal models, and we see this type of we see this with AI social networks all chattering with each other in like a recent weeks, right? But get something that's less vapid and just empty chats, wasting tokens with each other, and more a way of extending your availability and yourself. Something that responds as you, that you can still go and edit and prune history and retrain and based on the errors it's making and how you would have responded instead, right? If its tone isn't right or if it's missing knowledge or whatever, right? Basically create a LoRa and then have that integrated with Farcaster. And then if people want to use that, well, they can tip you basically, right? To pay for the model usage, to pay for the inference. And where they can tip you in, probably your token, which means that these personal models could all have a token attached to them through a token launchpad such as Clank.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's like we're seeing kind of this with like ClaudeBot and like some of those where it's like, you can really kind of just like let it rip. And I think that's like the coolest thing ever. And I think there's like a lot to go, right? Where it's like, we see like, it's just like easy, like you don't need to have like an input form anymore. So oh yeah, you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
I went back over to the Zoom that I was muted.
You're good.
But yeah, did you get the you must have gotten those.
It says I have 123,947,000 doot.
That's a lot of Doots.
But
so like
okay.
you there's you can also like take it in like a just the paired token too, or you can do it like with like for example, like by default it's like you'll get weth on the buys and then the doot on the sells, like the 1% there. But yeah, like basically that's kind of like how the general like V4 has gotten super complex with like the configurability. It's almost like it's like a very different product than what we started with, for better or for worse, right? Like the fact that now you can vault up to 90% or airdrop, like it adds complexity. Whereas like when it started, it was just like super simple, right? Like the dev just got the trading fees, right? They didn't get like the supply. It was, you couldn't really like rug per se, unless they sold like the token portion of the fees. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm excited to kind of see how like things go ahead, right? Where it's like pre-sales were hot for a bit, but I think like they're tough, right? There's trade-offs with everything. So that's one thing that I've kind of realized recently.
Totally.
Yeah, most tokenomics are just complicated schemes of passing too little revenue around, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Buybacks are simple, but okay, like it takes 20 years to buy back a significant percent of the project. Like, okay, we're going to inflate and give you 1,000% PR. Yeah, but you have to expand the user base by 10x a year, or else, it's kind of getting dumped to zero, right? We're going to give you points and instead, and then then if you don't airdrop someone $10,000, they turn on you and get real angry, right? It's like, well, it's just we just need basically more users, more money, and for that, I think we need better go-to-market strategies for DeFi, for DAI, for DPIN, for everything, right? Where we don't tend to expose the best UX, and we tend to approach the hot ball of crypto customers, the hot ball of money and the attention, that's very fleeting, rather than approaching, I guess, retail, right? Because we know that our UX is not going, like you say, step one, set up a private key. You've lost so many people, like right
exactly.
there, right? So when we can get UX that's more approachable, and if we can use AI to assist that, and if we can change our go-to-market strategy to reach retail with some breakthrough app, then I hope the main use case of blockchain won't just be speculation, as you said. I hope we can use it for things like digital identity. I hope that we can use it for things like Sybil resistance. I hope that we can use it, for things like tokenized equities and more transparent settlement, finality, payments, all kinds of hopefully better humanitarian causes than chasing the hot ball of money around.
I fully agree. And like I feel like from my perspective, right, where it's like, around the casino, like it's it's hard for me to like I want to like see the future, and I fully believe in like the non-speculative aspects of the blockchain too, right? Where like I think that is like we'll get there eventually. It's just I can see how some people like, and I fully like see where they're coming from, but like they can get turned off by, the word crypto or blockchain, with I think like it's just tough. It has a negative connotation with it.
I think it's kind of like Vegas. Like if you go to Vegas, there's flashing neon signs everywhere, and like there's this wall of obnoxious grift. But somewhere inside of there's like conventions where real things happen. There's like legitimate business deals that are being made and whatnot. You have to make it through this like, a shark-filled acid moat, before you can get to. If you're someone that is basically ignorant of these things because you aren't vaccinated by the early days of crypto, then coming into the modern cat and mouse game is a little unfair. Like these scammers can smell fresh blood, right? It's literally their livelihood. And so it is a significant impediment to our adoption. And I think one of the saving graces that we'll have that will extend the capabilities, the awareness of scams of someone like me, the inherent cynicism you developed over years of watching people get rugged, is defensive applications of AI, where you have an AI that can describe what the side effect on the chain is about to do. So you like, oh, it says I'm about to give up all my money. The AI says this is probably a bad idea and I shouldn't do this, right? It's much easier to kind of trust a personal agent that you has a bias that guarantees it's on your side. Over some support dude in Discord because you asked for help on a Clanker thing, and they sent you to the Clanker help Discord that's totally made up and scam you on, right?
So true. I think,
Right.
yeah, there's like the educational piece, and if we can bake that into the UX side of it, right? Whether it's more than just like warnings, but like educational pieces on like what you're doing, I think is super powerful. And it's we'll see. I think I don't know how long the market's gonna be. I don't know. The adoption is tough. Where it's like, I think like back in, I don't know, when 2020 or whatever, like I think we've gone so far, but I think there's still so much more to go. But at least like it's coming more. Hot take. I feel like there has to be like a macro event, right? Where like like whether it's people getting deplatformed from social media, right? Like that's what caused like Facebook
Yeah.
or Farcaster.
A lot of folks join based on that.
Well, deplatform from banking too for political views or whatever.
Totally.
Exactly. Like I think
you
it's like
have access to a bank, but your currency is inflating at some stupid rate per year, and you're like, I want dollars somehow, please, anyone.
Hey,
yeah, I think
I got a real quick question, then go back to your thought. Explain to the viewers and explain to me, because I'm just learning too. Like inside the Farcaster wallet, like when I hit buy, there's some slippage going on, but I was able to execute a purchase, and it just automatically went through. Why is that? Like it went through just fine. Yeah, it said succeeded or whatever, but I didn't have to sign anything. Is it because of the way the platform works? Once you log in, it'll just automatically sign transactions for you?
Yeah, basically it's like
cool.
a privy wallet. So like there's no need to like, put in your key or anything. So they've made it pretty simple. Granted, like we are still kind of working through some of the bugs, like with like the acquisition. I think there's like a lot of like info handoff.
Sure.
Like things might be buggy. But yeah, that's kind of it. And then yeah, like a big thing for me is like surfacing as much like token info as possible to these traders, like people that are researching, right? So like if you go to the Clanker World page, and I have a PR up for the wallet on Farcaster, to add this token info to it, it'll be my first commit. But basically, it's like dev by percent vaulted, like unlock date, fee percentage, all of this stuff that's relevant to people trying to do their own research. What I want to do is make that like front and center, and like I think like kind of going back to like the AI aspect, right? Like if we can plug this into like an interface that gives out like a quality diligence report, I think that's even more powerful.
Anti-rug. Promoting the anti-rug path for the users.
It's not just anti-rug. I mean, I think that the defensive applications of AI in social media can have profoundly positive effects, right? Like they can be used for spam filtering, for example. So AI, Meta is going to want to serve you one set of content, and your AI can just filter out the crap that doesn't meet your criteria, right? Say if their set of biases, now you can have an AI that injects your set of biases in what you see and what you feel from the internet, right? Which makes you less subject to bias control. Basically, democracy for sale, as I call it in one of my posts.
Love it.
I think that there's a lot of defensive applications of personal applications of AI, but a lot of them require at least training specialized, personalized models on decentralized hardware, because that's not like Google's business model. Google's not going to help you train a model. they have Gemini and they want you to use it. They want vendor lock-in. We'll give you free tokens and we'll absorb your expertise and everything about you and monetize the data and hopefully monetize your job. And, and that'll be a good deal for us, a Faustian bargain for you, right? I'm not aware of many places that will help you train models in the same way that DAI is trying to do. And if we can attach that to tokens, because that is a proven crowdfunding mechanism, you start getting exciting potential where people can start to bring expertise, form communities around managing the data set that the model is trained with, and form a token around that community to help fund all the necessary actions to grow and promote that model. And so you can start to see the rise of get a teachers union and get all the algebra teachers together, get all their tests, and use that as the training data to make an algebra bot for grading assignments and for tutoring and whatnot, right? And now you have a token on Clanker or something, Clanker Virtuals or something that is going to back that and allows them to extract revenue from its usage. Right? We can do exciting things when you start to put all these pieces together. But I think that if we don't get these pieces together, centralized AI has a propensity to make the world better for Mag 7 and not better for the rest of us.
Real. What are some of the best DAI resources that I can follow? Because for me, I feel like I spend a decent amount of time online, but I feel like they're not really talking about these, whether it's, is it a Llama 2, open source model, or
Yeah, so I've got a book in progress on this topic. If you really want to get into that with me, let's set up another time.
Yeah.
We're already over your half-hour call, but
tokenomicsexplained.com, Logri the Bard, constant plugs for my friend.
I do have a DAI blog post. That's an intro, but it's it'll it's not gonna make you feel good.
Hey, I just want to be more educated on it.
So
yeah.
So there's DPIN as a sector, right? And we had a whole restaking craze, and so I'm going to put a bunch of stuff into. You can access the compute. Then I call that propulsion, and I've got this ship analogy, like a lifeboat or a spaceship or something, right? Then you've got a life support system. That's basically your monetization vector. That's something that Clanker fits into, right? You got a token. You're able to add revenue to that token. You're able to distribute that revenue. People are able to live off that. It's able to become people's livelihoods. That's all life support. Then you've got something for whole integrity, which would be data integrity, which is all about people being able to bring their data and have their data be used without their data being compromised and people stealing it and running away with it and losing your moat, right? Somehow you need to be able to give someone your data to train a model with it without the data being lost so that they don't need to pay you ever again, right? That's a tricky problem, but that's a bunch of privacy style things. Maybe MPC comes into this, TEs come into this, right? Bag of technology related to keeping information secure while allowing processing on it. Things like FHE fit in this bucket, right? And there are companies like Bagel, for example, that are in the TE space that we need a more comprehensive answer to this, but there are people working on a bunch of the individual parts of it. And the last is kind of a control plane, which is if you're at your ship and you need navigation, I could go down to the engine room and hit the lever myself, but no one flies a ship that way, right? You have a ship, you have a steering wheel. You don't go over the engine and start wagging the rudder back and forth manually, right? It's possible, but it's not how it works. So we need some type of control plane that allows you to reduce the technical expertise required to do all the other stuff, because you don't have to know that much about DPIN and all these particulars and tokenization, all these particulars. And that's the kind of UX improvement that a defensive application of AI also serves. So we have AI in the control plane sector as a different application, in addition to a suite of privacy technologies, DPIN technologies to access the underlying compute, and data. Sorry, we had data integrity, propulsion. I'm spacing because I'm a little sick. Anyway, I can't recap it, but I did say them all. So yeah, you put those together, and I think you have all the necessary components for your ship. And the post the book that I'm writing is going sort of chapter by chapter on those topics and identifying what the players are and what are the necessary qualitative criteria for a solution. So if you'd like to talk to me about those topics, we can set up another time. Happy to go over it with you.
Guys, I do have to dip. I gotta do like
worries.
a Twitter Spaces thing. I gotta take.
You are 20 minutes
yeah.
over, so I hope
That's
it
all
was
right.
worth all the time.
Hey.
No worries. I'm glad to chill with you guys.
Absolutely.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
for having me on. Yeah, let's keep in touch and have a good weekend.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Dish. You
much,
too.
Jack Dishman.
Bye.
Appreciate you.
Talk to ya.
JackDishman.com. He's heading off to Twitter Space. Super happy for your time today. And you can follow him on all the different media that are out there, and we hope you do. And thanks again.
Thank you, Dish. Looking forward to what you do with Neynar and Farcaster and Clanker and all the above.
All right. Well, he's frozen there, so it looks like he must be on his way out of the Zoom call. Hey, there we go. Jack Dishman, once again, thank you. And it looks like at this time it is time to run over to dailydoots.com. Daily Doots live stream is all about showcasing the best of the week from the daily general discussion on our Ethereum. This is a read-along reaction series. If you want to follow along, head to dailydoots.com. Designed and produced by Hanny Abu. Big thanks to Tricky Troll for capturing and curating each day's Doots, and the A Word for curating this most beloved weekly list. Subscribe to all of us on your favorite platforms by visiting dailydoots.com. And as always, if you know somebody that wants a piece of this action, make sure you send them my way. Let's get started here. We're going to do the rundown of the rich list for this week. Coming in at number 10, Aiden Cairo at 118. Let me refresh this page one more time. Ethical Trade at 119, Hanny Abu at 134, Crypto Currency at 135, JS Tears at 144, Tricky Troll at 170, Benito 2030 at 178, Super Fizz at 241, Logri the Bard at 256 climbing up, and Harog still at the top of the heap at 310. Let's see if we got any announcements for this week. We do have a guest coming up next week. We got Jake from QR Coin. It's undetermined at this point if we're going to do a February 20th week show. I might try to find a guest to put on during the week. Reason being is that I'm going to be working on a documentary. It's going to be a pretty interesting foray into the dangers of online sports betting. So I'm looking forward to get this documentary underway. We're trying to get some funding underway. And I've got a literal kid that's like 20 years old that's going to KU, who's a business major that is pretty much doing all of the question and answers of the different guests and whatnot. And we've got some professional athletes that we are slated to start interviewing. So I might be busy. And I can't wait to do it. And I'll be doing all of the filming, editing, and all that kind of stuff, or at least part of it, unless we get some big money. And then I'm not. So
well, congratulations, JT.
Thank you, man. It's pretty cool. We've already done a couple of test interviews with some KU professors. They're intelligent people. I'll riff on it just for a second because I find it fascinating, but the impact of sports betting, especially on athletes, is really getting serious. And some of these guys are really taking a hit mentally for it. So we'll see what happens. Go from there, we'll try it. We'll see what happens. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to nuke this Zoom meeting real quick. Make sure that we got, there we go. Anyway, that was fun. What the heck? I launched a token. I didn't realize that was going to happen. So ignorance is 9/10 of the law, I guess.
And he didn't realize Clanker was going to take off. Great things sometimes are serendipitous.
There we go. Well,
true. Sorry if I led you to the to the trough.
No, we'll send that money right back to the podcast because it's not free to run.
Treasury.
Literally, like if you're hearing me talk about this right now, That Doot token, if it does something, we're just going to pay bills around here because of all these stupid subscription fees to grease the wheels of the dailydoots.com world. So your money's in good hands. Let's see here. Got that done. Yeah, and there's some other upcoming guests, but we're going to move on so we can get going here. Let's see. I think we're ready. Oh, he didn't update the page. Come on, Hanny. Let's see. I'm going to have to go back over to the old Reddits here. We're going to do this OG style, which is fine. We're comfortable with that. And we got to find the A word. The A word does all of our weekly Doots. Oh, I know what's special about this episode. You know what's funny? It's like whenever you have it's sad that the price fell so much, but when it does, it seems like people flood to the daily. And guess what happened? This last week, we had more first-time Dooters probably than any other week since we started doing the show like 3 years ago. But the A word this week, I noticed, put 4. This is a first. There's 4 first-time Dooters that are going to be read out on the show today. So congrats to all the newcomers to the site, or at least maybe, we think they're newcomers. They may have had other accounts before, but generally speaking, we've seen some young interest. They're like, I'm new to this. Is this a good time to buy? And all that kind of stuff. So anyway, our Trinity for today, Ethereum, chimed in by Rimchi. Frank the Tank at 1936 on the price, $10.9 at 0.029 on the ratio as of right around midnight Central Standard Time. Everything is fine, JS Tears, with our haiku of the week. Everything is fine. 2 months until you shine. Staking waiting line. That's the daily haiku until we're up on that ratio. How does he do it, JS Tears? How do you do it? Itar Ad Astra says, all hail the eternal crab. There you have it. We're 22-23 when they posted this a few days ago. Boy, how the tables have turned. And looks like ABC Kotep has got the Ethereal News weekly issue. Number 10 is out. Vitalik, the role of Layer 2s has changed. The Hegota upgrade headliner proposals and Lido version 3 is live. All right. Thanks to ABC Kotep, formerly of Week in Ethereum News, now taking over doing Ethereal News. And they are on issue number 10 as of this week. So that's pretty cool. I got to take off this. I feel like they changed some preferences here on the old Reddit. All right. In our shit post of the week, because I always like to save the best for first, Original Bacon Slab, Duder number 2 writes, it is a near certainty that the future will not be built on EOS. Oh my gosh. Woo. You know what they have? Probably still have a big fat treasury, I don't think that ever went away. And, it's like, what a freaking shit show that all thing was. But it was a use case for Ethereum was to, gather ETH to grift on other projects. All right. Let's see. Eternal Crab newsletter shitpost. All right. Logri the Bart. Man, we're going to start off with the Logri post right off the top. Well, here we go. Let's open up these and get them going. We got a lot of Duder ones this week. This will be exciting. Logri the Bard has made a 11-point list here. I'm making global. Let's see the context here. Let's open up the context. Shit can fly. User Shit Can Fly says, Mert, quoted, we have established Bitcoin as not a hedge against inflation, debasement, and political instability, unquote. We are either early or retarded. This is what makes me not want to come back. Like, what are we even doing anymore? Logri the Bard replies, oh, I can't wait. This is going to be good. Number 1. Making global payments faster, cheaper, and more accessible to billions of people in less developed countries. Number 2, helping people escape hyperinflation in countries that have horribly mismanaged their currencies. Number 3, revolutionizing TradFi systems for 24/7 settlement and removing intermediaries to improve trust and reduce cost. Number 4, expanding capital formation for any and all projects to the entire world. Number 5, making a basis for global digital ID system and reputation systems that create new revenue opportunities for everyone. Number 6, revolutionizing the scientific community by enabling self-publishing and co-op style journals. Number 7, fighting climate change by bringing carbon credits on chain and available on the entire DeFi suite of tools. I'm going to add to that, Ethereum almost costs nothing in terms of electricity compared to the value it can provide the world. It does it natively without any kind of carbon credit talk. It's all additive to what you just said, Logri. Well said. Number 8, funding a variety of public goods all the way from the municipality level to a global scale. Number 9, making enterprise scale compute more accessible and cheaper. Number 10, making systems for anyone to create their own AI agents to encapsulate their expertise and monetize. And finally, number 11, slaying the Moloch. Yeah. Well said, man. Great list. I love this. And I feel like people got to wake up and understand that's what we have to do. We have to put it into motion ourselves. You know, always has been. We got to get back to some of these. I hesitate to use the word cypherpunk ideals, but there's some truth to that too. All right. Okay, user ethrowaway86238. According to the A-word, they said they share a collection of thoughts as a lurker here from 2017. Also, this account has been shadow banned. I've noticed this account pop up. I keep asking them. I'll say it on the live stream. You got to go appeal. I gave you the link to go appeal your shadow ban. Usually, if you follow the link, follow the instructions, a robot will come around and lift the ban. So you can get that done. That way we don't have to manually approve. Otherwise, if this doesn't get approved, I actually approve this one. If I don't approve it by hand, no one gets to see it. So please fix it. All right, good. Longtime lurker here, ethrowaway86238 writes, got a few bullet points here. There was never a 4-year cycle besides as a self-fulfilling prophecy. Market goes up and down depending on sentiment, interests, and roughly based on global central bank interest rates, natural disasters, etc. You're watching TV static and imagining patterns with that one. Sentiment is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think everyone knows that already. The price is a product of both organic demand based on the utility of the asset, which is on-chain use, and the speculative asset. The speculative aspect, I think, is responsible for just about all of the volatility. Every untrained retail investor constantly double guessing themselves on which way it's going, and mostly going with the crowd. A time like this has basically never been a good time to sell. There is always someone selling at the bottom when horrified, and then horrified when it rebounds. Paper losses versus real losses. If you do best fit linear regression, look at the log chart. Over most intervals between X date and present, it's a positive correlation, besides the last 10 months. Zoom out and take a long look at the log chart since 2017 on TV. It's way up over time, and the volatility has decreased. There's about 9 years in the chart, and barely 2 years of them are above this price. You take the linear regression since 2021, it's still up. Yes, it keeps hitting the same top, but the lows keep getting higher. Isn't there a name for that? Our last nasty low was 1384 last spring. 2400 is a walk in the park. 900 back in 2022 too. I think we're just looking at the percentage down from 4950 and disappointed that the bull run got cut out. But the bull run started at 1384. The fundamentals basically haven't changed in any negative way since Trump's election. If anything, there's been increased institutional adoption And it seems like just a ton of bearish sentiment resulting from global economic stability and crypto in general being treated as a risk asset instead of a safe haven, which always struck me as the market treating the entire asset class irrationally. Why would gold be a safe haven, but crypto not? Is the internet going to break anytime soon? Crypto has had a major perception problem with the public based on the many scams and the association with Musk and Trump. In general, it's now seen as a right-aligned tech. While everyone here knows there's no economic ideology fundamentally tied to crypto besides wanting something immutable and consensus-based. That kind of perception risk has got to be the biggest risk to the sector. What happens when and if the pendulum swings and the Genslers get back in? Do they have public support to crack down or no? What's the counter narrative? What's being built that actually counteracts cronyism, scams, rug pulls, etc.? The amount we're tied to BTC price with just a multiplier for the volatility basically really shows how little understanding of the fundamentals the average money is in ETH has. Sorry, I'm going to read that again. The amount we're tied to BTC price with just a multiplier for the volatility basically really shows how little understanding of the fundamentals the average money in ETH has, which indicates very little sound projection is actually even priced in, especially when you consider the leaking ratio, which is just detached from reality. Pessimistic as people are after the last few years of grind, that historically signals opportunity, doesn't it? It's a banger, dude. I want you to get your account fixed, please. You know what? We'll do it live. I'm going to send this one more time. So I got this. Appeal. Copy this. I'm going to reply to you. I hope you see this. Appeal. I'm doing all this on the line. There. Appeal, please. There. I want you to stick around. Please don't go. We just may not be able to catch you. We can't even look at your history to find other comments that are hidden. We just have to get lucky whenever AutoMod pulls it. All right. Okay, here we go. View the rest of the content. No time for infinity. No time for infinity. This is a Duder number one. Almost there from the liberal rag, the Wall Street Journal. The crypto CEO become enemy number one on Wall Street. Let's see the headline here. The A word says, takes satisfaction in watching bankers get angry. Okay. Brian Armstrong, CEO of the biggest U.S. crypto company, was having coffee with former U.K. Prime Minister Tony Blair at the World Economic Forum in Davos last week when J.P. Morgan Chase's Jamie Dimon cut in. Quote, "You are full of shit," said Dimon, a longtime crypto skeptic who previously called Bitcoin a fraud, his index finger pointed squarely at Armstrong's face. As crypto moves swiftly into the mainstream of American finance, some of Wall Street's heavyweights are waking up to the threat. While banks have embraced some aspects of crypto, helping people invest in Bitcoin and using digital assets to make money transfers more efficient, they are drawing a line at encroachment on their core business, consumer deposits. Okay, it goes on from there. That's from the Wall Street Journal. And user No Time for Infinity Duder number one replies, "Are you mad, bro? I would never accuse our noble, patriotic American bankers of being so petty as to use price manipulation as a negotiating tactic. But their anger feeds me just the same. We've been through a lot. I've seen a lot of people lose their homes, their retirements. I've seen people lose hope. I've seen suicides in the very quick kind and the slow kind where people turn to drugs. What I've never seen is angry bankers. Never. It all makes me all warm inside, like the sun breaking the clouds after a long, lean winter, because that's what it's been. Some of us didn't make it. A lot of retired people went back to work and died humiliated as Walmart greeters. Maybe I'm a vengeful, shallow man for taking joy in the misfortune of others. Or maybe the warmth I feel when these guys squirm is righteous and hard fought. Maybe it's hope. In 2025, David Solomon, $47 million. Jamie Dimon, $43 million. Charlie Scharf, 28%, bumped to $40 million. Brian Moynihan at $35 million. Jane Fraser at $34.5 million. I'm hopeful, not because I bought a lottery ticket, because towns, cities, and regular people are better off when they can keep what they work for. When parents can sleep at night with permissionless certainty that the future of their children will be there in the morning because it doesn't rely on these people. The dollar in the banking system, that's the lottery ticket. It's a merry-go-round that's making me sick. I shouldn't need anyone's permission to get off. Mr. Banker, you can keep your paper mystery value coupons in your grand empty buildings built to inspire trust. They don't. We are looking for marbles, brass, and Corinthian columns, Roman porticos, or a bigger vault. We just want to be left alone in a world to build markets where we don't need permission. Bam. Holy smokes. That's a banger. Nice job. Coming out hot. No time for infinity. Duder number 1 for the week. Let's roll. All right. This is a big one. Looks like, this is from Duder number 3, Vitalik Buterin. I've got to update my res file on here. He's a Duder number 3. Shout out to Vitalik, just some guy. Has been coming back onto the pod, or not onto the pod, I wish. Coming onto the, it's been coming onto the Reddit. Sorry, I was thinking about something else, trying to get something figured out on OBS. Vitalik Buterin has returned to Reddit, is what I'm trying to say, and I couldn't be happier for the subreddit. I was just quietly asking in Telegram, it'd be nice if he came back, and that boy showed up. It's good to see you again, my friend. We're real glad that you're making your way back to Reddit, where we all began, I feel like. All right. He's got a long post. It's on the front page of our Ethereum, and I think he's posted it elsewhere. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to move on because this is a pretty widely celebrated post out there in the world, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have read it so far. And I want you maybe to do us a favor, come to Reddit and check it out for yourself. Thank you, Vitalik. Benito 2030 is a Duder number 178 for this week. Regarding Vitalik's Twitter post is misunderstood. RSA Ryan Sean Adams from Bankless is saying that L2s aren't Ethereum. There's a link to the tweet. When you read, especially quote tweets, it seems like L2s went from white to black by just this one tweet. I don't think that's the case. Those L2s willing to go the extra mile and go to stage 2 will still be Ethereum. They are scaling Ethereum, and they are Ethereum. Yes, we were hoping to see more stage 2 rollups earlier. We were hoping, especially for better interoperability, which is, in my opinion, a key feature. But there still will be L2s that will go that way. The thesis, now that L2s are dead, L2s will live. We will see more stage 2 L2s with hopefully a great interoperability. And that will put the pressure on stage 1 L2s to make a tough decision on how to proceed, because from a feature and UX point of view, their positioning sucks. Mainnet scales, but we will still need L2s because no single chain can fit all transactions. That won't change. So there will be some general purpose L2s and a lot of app chains, both scaling Ethereum and being Ethereum. Okay. All right. There you go. Benito 2030. Cat's Pajamas is a Duder number 1 for this week. Explains why they bought ETH. Okay. Here we go. Some thoughts from a newcomer. Well, welcome to the subreddit, Cat's Pajamas. I love your spelling of your username, by the way. Some thoughts from a newcomer. Was I happy having bought just before we dropped? No, but it has made me reflect on why I did buy ETH in the first place. And it really comes down to how cool the technology is. I love that it's allostatic and how it balances itself. There's your word of the day, allostatic. I need to look that word up. Let's do it. Let's look up a word together, shall we? Allostatic meaning. Let's see. Allostasis is the active, adaptive process by which the body maintains stability. Okay. Well, there we go. It's the alive and functioning. It's what it takes to keep an organism alive and functioning. There's the sentence about Ethereum. With ETH being used up in transactions and added through staking, I find this to be a far more elegant way to create deflation and scarcity as compared to fixed supply. I love that it is decentralized, not just in design, but also in development, with a bunch of dedicated people working on it, occasionally knocking heads. Although slower, I know that these types of processes often arrive at solutions, sometimes superior ones, which streamlined processes do not. I love that the network is actually used for things, not merely lying there as a lump, pretending to be a air quote store of value. I was going to buy some Bitcoin, not because I'm a true believer, but because I dislike banks. Even though it is currently underperforming, I am glad I found Ethereum instead because, frankly, I find it to be that much more cool. Cool does not necessarily translate to successful. I have no clue whether Ethereum will eventually take off, but regardless, I do really like Ethereum. It is more a bet made with heart than head in my case, I think. Thus, I don't regret making it, although it would be obviously have been more fun. It would have been obviously more fun to start buying now compared to a few weeks ago. I would have a lot more ETH then. Oh, don't we all? Don't we all? Child's P replies. I'm going to read a reply from Child's P because they've been around forever. Child's writes, here, and welcome to the club. You're absolutely right. Price action up or down doesn't matter because ETH is the only asset that I want to own. It is not a pet rock. It has real utility and purpose. It is the anti-banker coin, the true cypherpunk answer to third-party finance, where they dictate when and how you dictate and transact with, sometimes even with the question of why before allowing you to spend your money. It is a good thought experiment to think to oneself if you had the chance to pick all over again, if you'd pick something different. And I imagine there are those people out there who would say yes, simply because they know with hindsight that BTC was going to moon way more than ETH, that they would have swapped BTC over to ETH or even in some other token. But for me, I know that ETH is the only one that captures my heart and the only one, in my opinion, that has the potential for the true purpose of crypto. Nice. Beautiful job. Well written. Thank you. Evil Jordan points out an inconsistency and sets the record straight regarding debanking. Actually, I think this might have been a response to me. I'm going to read what I wrote first, and then I'll read Evil Jordan. So make cypherpunk sexy again was the headline I put in there. Senator Cynthia Loomis says her office has uncovered written evidence that the Federal Reserve instructed bank examiners to pressure banks into closing accounts for customers based on their political views, even as Fed leadership publicly denied doing so. Okay, so this was from the Cowboy State Daily. It must be a newspaper up in Wyoming, which, as we know, is a big hot point for crypto banking rails being built and a lot of cool shit. So I posted that just based off of the article and the way it was written, and it kind of showed me that it was being done, and then the Fed leadership publicly denied doing so was the big talking point. Evil Jordan says the TLDR debanking is very real, but the claims that Republicans are being debanked is ridiculous, and the omission of adult, I think he meant audit maybe, in this article is obscene. The omission of adult in this article is obscene. I have a very inside track to this issue, very emphasized. But there's only so much I can say out of respect for not being an expert. First of all, Cynthia Loomis is not a reliable narrator. Not that matters much, because ultimately fairness in banking is mostly a good thing. And that is a link to the congressional, looks like the Fair Access to Banking Act, which reads, this bill places restrictions on certain banks, credit unions, and payment card networks if they refuse to do business with a person who complies with the law. Restrictions include prohibiting the use, blah, blah, blah. It goes on there. If they're violating the law, the bill, they can restrict certain banks, credit unions, payment card networks if they refuse to do business who complies with the law. There you go. All right. Going on is mostly a good thing. Second, Loomis is retiring, and my guess she's trying to salvage her non-political life in the public eye so she doesn't get lynched once she's out of office. Anyway, what's really interesting in this article is that they mention every category of debanking except adult, which is by far the largest group of debanked users in the country. The Free Speech Coalition, nonpartisan, okay. Free Speech Coalition is the first line of defense regarding debanking and challenging First Amendment rights for the adult industry and everyone else. Other than the EFF, I can't think of another organization working harder on behalf of the American people to right government overreach. If you actually care about debanking, I encourage you to pursue the FSC's resources on banking discrimination and recognize adult is always the canary in the coal mine. And it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to debank you. Also, happy cake day for me. He was talking to me, JT. So I guess it was my 13th cake day. Adult falls under the mentioned umbrella of any legal business. So Evil Jordan is much more well read on this. I replied back to him, thanks for the color on this. I found it after it was shared by Caitlin Long from Custodia Bank. Okay. So Caitlin Long, if you know anything about her, she had a hell of a time getting her bank to get chartered by the government, because they don't hand out charters, and they haven't handed out any since 2008. And I don't know when the last one was. But Caitlin Long obviously is a freedom advocate in the banking world. Wants the markets to open up. So anyway, I just know she has an axe to grind, and I figured if she shared it, it must be important. So there you go. If you want to read more, you can head on over to dailydoots.com. And thank you to our brand new moderator, Evil Jordan, for the reply. Great job. All right, here we go. Let's see, moving down the list. User Spection shares a lens-based project they've been working on, which has NFT token gating features for EV Mavericks. Interesting. Hey, all, I've been working on a Lens app, and I want to invite EVM first. Aside from the typical Lens social media apps, there is a focus on groups and channels, silos, where you can gate membership and organize projects. Messages from each group get funneled into the main page for the world to discover, and this can be turned off. The monetization is transparent. If you want more reach, add a stake to your post to be higher in the feed. You will get your stake back along with tips, boosts from other users. However, if you're ratioed by a comment, they will steal part of the stake and rewards. This should incentivize us to bury low-effort spam. Hey, that's kind of cool. Interesting. It costs money, but if you want to get something removed, it looks like you can just by replying. For now, the currency is the Aave stablecoin Ghost. It's on testnet. There's a custom token I continue to play with, likely the mainnet direction as well, to reward users. Please record your thoughts, ideas, criticisms. Looks like I'm going to be posting to Twitter later this week since Vitalik is bringing some attention to this area. There's a link to Vitalik here. the link from Italic. In my opinion, the future of on-chain mechanism design is mostly going to fit into one pattern, something that looks like a prediction market going to something that looks like a capture-resistant, non-financialized preference-setting gadget. In other words, one layer that is maximally open and maximizes accountability. It's a market. Anyone can buy and sell. If you make good decisions, you win money. If you make bad decisions, you lose money. What the heck, chat? 1.5 thousand people watching on Twitter? What is happening? Ben, what the heck? No way.
It must be related to the token.
You got to be kidding me. Hold on one second. I'm opening up. Does it show the chat resistant? Holy crap, that is nuts. Okay.
You're getting eyeballs, but we've stated that was a fun experiment with Dish from Clanker, and that those fees are going to go to help us pay for the podcast.
Bro, what the fuck?
No. I mean, people launched Clankers and they go like a fart in the wind. Yours just caught bids.
How?
People thought it was...
It's nuts. Okay, you guys all cool it out there.
Yeah. We're here to have fun.
They snookered me.
Kind of my fault, but
Man.
I love watching you experiment. So
hey, well, no, that's all well and fine, but like, I launched a token on a live stream. No, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. No. Actually, I'm just raising up my desk here. Here we go. I'm not falling. Okay. All right.
We'll chat later. We'll clean things up.
Okay. That's hilarious. Yeah. My down 80%. That's funny. I don't know, guys. That's funny. Yeah, if there's whatever. We'll move on.
Yep, they'll move on too. They'll find something else.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, great. Hey, if you're watching this, I'd much rather you just like go to dailydoots.com and you join the discussion on Reddit with us, our Ethereum daily general discussion. That's what we're really about. But if you're getting the Doot token or whatever, that's fun too. It works. That's cool. I dig it. It's kind of fun. All right. Okay, I got most of that Vitalik tweet done. I think that's done. That's done. I think we're on our last one. Yeah, we are. Also, by the way, Spection was a Dooter number 1 for this week. I got a fixture tag. That's good. And then user South Friendship 644, Dooter number 1, starts a discussion if Ethereum network usage drives ETH price and gets a lot of good responses. South Friendship 644, Dooter number 1 for the week. Does the price of ETH rise the more people use it? This might sound like a stupid question, but it is something that I can't get my head around. There seems to be this common belief that in the obviously inevitable case Ethereum will one day explode into the world and gain momentum as the new DeFi smart contract app, financial infrastructure, and so on. Sorry, I really don't know much about the depth of Ethereum's usability, but I am very much intrigued by it. More and more people and institutions will use the blockchain for mentioned in other use cases. Everybody seems to believe that this will inevitably lead to an explosion in the price of ETH. But please, someone educate me. The underlying token is not really involved into all of the use cases of the blockchain, right? You need some ETH for gas fees, that I understand, but those fees keep getting lower and lower, so why would the price rise? Out of popularity? Does more usage need more ETH to be staked for security, leading to scarcity? How does demand rise if you don't really need the token? And the vague answer ChatGPT gives me doesn't really enlighten me that much either, so please explain to me like I'm 5. I'm eager to learn. I'm going to read people that have been dooted. They're on the list. Timur Webb as a reply. As far as I know, there is no direct or obvious causative relationship between Ethereum, air quote, usage and ETH price. Price bubbles seem to occur periodically, but are largely inexplicable, connected to the 4-year cycle, human nature, and FOMO, and so on. Moreover, ETH price is closely correlated with BTC and cryptos in general. Best bet is to look at historic volatility. It's huge. Most likely it will carry on being crazy volatile, which means sooner or later the price will set a new all-time high, but it could suck balls in the meantime. All right, Epic Trader replies, I'm personally of the opinion that demand for ETH to pay for gas is the least significant contributor to ETH's price. People overestimate the short-term effects of inflation and deflation. The amount of ETH used daily to pay for transactions is actually quite insignificant. In fact, people usually get this wrong way around. If we can keep transaction fees very low, it will enable more use cases to be cost effective to run on Ethereum, which will then lead to more companies and users on Ethereum, which creates a much greater demand for ETH. It's much better to onboard 1 million new users who buy $200 worth of ETH than it is to double or triple the transaction fees, hoping that increased demand will influence the price. Other than the demand for staking and proof of stake, the big demand comes from serving as collateral in various DeFi applications. ETH is used as collateral in stablecoins, as a trading pair in exchanges and AMMs to lend out for trading, etc. Most companies on Ethereum, especially Ethereum native ones, tend to hold a significant part of their treasury in ETH. Even if people think of BTC as gold, ETH is just as much the digital gold of Ethereum. God dang, that is well said. Thank you, Epic Trader. And then finally, Duder number 32. These are all banger people on Reddit. If you're not in the daily general discussion on Reddit, you're missing out on some of this. And you can find their Duder scores by going to dailydoots.com. You find somebody, you can make your own tags for these people. You should. ETH's price goes up. This is Numerous Rune 4947. ETH's price goes up when more people want to buy than sell. When the price starts rising, FOMO kicks in. People buy because they think they can make money. Some see it as a long-term bet and believe ETH could go to 20,000 or 100,000 or more. And they also stake to grow their holdings over time. Others hold and stake ETH for the tech out of more idealistic reasons. But realistically, most participants are here to get richer. That's why adoption alone doesn't guarantee big price increases. More users helps, but speculative demand and FOMO buying usually moves the price far more than organic usage does. And with that, we are going to round out this week's Doots Show. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for the chat, Jack Dishman from Clanker and Farcaster. We did a thing today. Yeah, it's already crashed. Thank God. There you go. There, in the span of this episode, it went up and back to the earth where it belongs. But
As
yeah,
custom.
Say again.
As is custom.
As is custom. Hey, that was fun. I mean, this is neat. That I guess the takeaway is that you can literally just tag a bot on a social network and spin up a token, and that's
If you're a legitimate founder, this is a very powerful tool.
yeah.
Not that you're
Yeah.
you're a legitimate founder and builder too, JT.
Well, I'm doing something out here, and you're helping out too. We got a team of 10 people at dailydoots.com that help put this show on every week. If you know anybody that wants to get on this podcast, just have them reach out to me. Well, I hope you guys have an incredible weekend. Thanks again to the EV Mavericks for letting us host it here on Discord for our 139th episode for this February 6th of 2026. Smash the bells, give us a like, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find all of our socials at dailydoots.com. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the daily general discussion on our Ethereum, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City. Beautiful.